Union Home Minister Amit Shah has warned, पाताल से ढूंढ कर निकालेंगे, हम पाताल से भी ढूंढ कर सख्त से सख्त सजा देंगे. This is what the Union Home Minister Amit Shah has said to those responsible for the Delhi blast. And the arrest that has taken place of the individual today was responsible for making drones and rockets. Just imagine how evil was the plan to launch multiple drones in Delhi and other cities to target vital assets, vital points. Their plan was to target temples. Their plan was to target military installations, marketplaces, schools, hospitals. On the 6th of December, 6 targets in different cities. These terrorists were planning to launch a Hamas-style attack. The 7th October 2023 Hamas attack on Israel, air and land attack. Of course, in Israel's case, it was also by sea. But in this case, they wanted to launch an air and land attack on various cities. And now, layer by layer, as information comes out, Union Home Minister Amit Shah has warned the strictest possible punishment as per law will be given to the perpetrators, to the terrorists, to the plotters, to the enablers, that entire ecosystem that may have been aware of this terror plot. But was it silence of fear or silence of complicity that they wanted to see India burn? They live in India and wanted to kill Indians. Was that the plan? And multi-city attack to make drones, to make rockets, not just improvise explosive devices in automobiles, but also launch them from quadcopter. So a quadcopter drone just takes off with improvised explosive device underslung and then drop it on top of a temple or a school or a military installation or a police station or a mall or a hospital. When maximum people have already been taken to a hospital after a terror attack, then the blast in hospital like in Ahmedabad in Gujarat in 2008. Now this is how devious the plan of these terrorists was. I want to bring in India Today's Shreya Chatterjee, who joins us for more on this. So Shreya, the Home Minister has held a meeting with various chief ministers of the zone of the impacted area. He's held a meeting with intelligence agencies and police chiefs. What more do we know when he says, हम पाताल से भी ढूंढकर सख्त से सख्त सजा दिलाएंगे?
This was actually a part of the Northern Zonal Council meeting that took place in Faridabad today. It was chaired by Amit Shah. A tribute to the deceased in the Delhi terror blast was also offered, is what we're being told. And apart from that, the exact words of the Union Home Minister words that if needed, we will go to the netherworld. We'll go everywhere possible to find individuals who are linked to this terror blast. So clearly, it's an ultimatum that's coming in from the Home Minister. Important to point out that there was also a pressing on the fact that how important these councils are, because it only increases the interagency coordination. So it was a meeting which stressed largely upon the entire blast and how, because it was a multi-city operation which included Faridabad police, etc. Those was one of the stressing points.
So interagency cooperation is required because the whole of the nation approach is required at this stage. Shreya, I want to understand from you the kind of effort that is being put in. And Shreya, stay with me for a moment. There's more breaking news that's coming in. The National Investigation Agency has made the second arrest in the Delhi Red Fort blast case. The person who's been taken into arrest right now is called Yasir Bilal Vani. Yasir Bilal Vani alias Danish. Danish was an active co-conspirator behind the Delhi blast, is what Delhi police and the National Investigation Agency believe. Now, from what information we are getting right now, Danish or Yasir Bilal Vani was detained from Srinagar just a short while back. He's formally now been arrested. Yasir Vani was a close aide, we are being told, of the Delhi bomber, Dr. Umar Nabi. And he also provided some kind of technical support for carrying out the terror attacks. What was the technical support that he was providing? He was modifying quadcopters and drones so that they could carry improvised explosive devices underslung, attempting to make rockets so that apart from the deadly car bomb blast, there could be an aerial attack that could take place. So Yasir Vani has also been taken into custody. He will be presented before a Delhi court tomorrow, is what we are being told. Mir Farid now joins me live from Srinagar. And Mir, this is very alarming, the extent of this terror module. Initially, it was a small group of doctors. Then it seems to be expanding. What more do we know of Yasir Bilal Vani alias Danish?
Well, Gaurav, was that to me or audio was sketchy?
Yes. Go on, Mir, yes.
In fact, just a little clarification here that he was initially detained by the Jammu and Kashmir police. His brother Naveed Vani as well. They are both from Gazigund. Interestingly, this is the same place from where Dr. Adil belongs, and these two were neighbors of Dr. Adil. Now, sources say, Jammu Kashmir police sources say that for many days he was under interrogation. And he's revealed that he was taken by Dr. Umar Nabi, the prime suspect, or should I say, the Red Fort bomber, to Delhi as well. The design was to turn him into a suicide bomber. They were scouting for a suicide bomber for these missions, and he was selected as one. He was first brainwashed in Gazigund, then taken to Faridabad, where he was kept in a rented accommodation. And at the last minute, he backed out because he said that this was against the tenets of Islam. Plus, he said that he had a family to support. So it seems that is the other version. Initially, they also wanted to use his expertise as a drone expert, etc. But he backed out. But initially, he was part of the plan. And now, the J&K police has handed over his custody to NIA, which is officially looking after the case. And this is, as you rightly said, the second detention or the arrest as far as NIA is concerned, because there is now concrete proof against him for being a very integral part of this interstate Jash conspiracy and the subsequent terror, the blast at Red Fort. Gaurav?
Is there clarity how these elements were being radicalized, how they were in touch with each other, the fact that they expected him to become a suicide bomber, and fortunately for him and others, he backed out. He backtracked saying, I will not be a suicide bomber. That's against the tenets of Islam. He apparently said he also has a family to look after. But what are his expertise that he was making drones to launch drone attacks? What more do we know of his expertise?
Well, sources in the J&K police say that he was a drone expert because he was already using drones for shoots, for videos, etc. So he knew very well how to use a drone. So that is very critical, because someone who can use the drone with a remote control, with full control, can actually launch it and take it to its desired target. So that is what our J&K police sources tell us, that he was in close contact initially with Adil. Then Adil ensured that he met Umar Nabi, who was more radicalized, more dedicated to the terror plan. And it was Umar who guided him initially. For 4-5 months, he was in contact with them. He was even taken to Faridabad, acclimatized, kept in a rented room. So that is what our sources say. His brother Naveed Vani is still in police detention, but it is Yasir who's said to be the main suspect. And in fact, there are many others who are still in J&K police custody. So as you rightly said, this is a joint effort. The fundamental groundwork is being done by the Jammu and Kashmir police, and that is really helping the NIA to fast track the investigation and get to the suspects and to the bottom of this conspiracy. Gaurav?
Okay. Mir, for the moment, many thanks for joining me. Shreya stays with me, and I want to get you more in this investigation. So the Delhi blast investigation is zeroing in on what the NIA now calls was the Delta 6 or D6 plan. So what is the D6 plan? The Delta 6 plan was a two-tier blueprint designed to trigger maximum damage chaos in the country. Investigators believe that Plan A was a wave of serial blasts in Delhi on the 6th of December. When that plan did not succeed, Plan B was a high-intensity, high-impact suicide strike again on the 6th of December in Delhi. Forensics indicate Umar may actually have been a shoe bomber. Traces of the explosive TATP, the mother of Satan explosive, were found on a metal plate in his shoes. A major breakthrough came with the arrest of Amir Rashid Ali. Now you'll ask, who's Amir Rashid Ali? Amir Rashid Ali was a key aide of the bomber Dr. Umar Nabi. He had certain ideas about this entire plot. The NIA says he helped acquire that I-20 car that was used in the suicide attack. He's now in 10 days custody, and that led to the arrest of Yasir on Yasir. Yasir was a drone operator. He knew how drones operate. So the bigger plan was not just to use a VBIED, a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device, but also use a drone to drop improvised explosive devices on various strategic locations that they were scouting, had already scouted. Now, India Today's Shreya Chatterjee and Arvind Ojha bring us this report.
The Delhi blast probe has entered a critical phase as authorities close in on the terror network behind the attack. On Sunday, the National Investigation Agency arrested Amir Rashid Ali, a close aide of bomber Dr. Umar Nabi from Kashmir. Amir Rashid Ali, accused of playing a direct role in the attack, was produced in Patiala House Court on Monday, which remanded him to 10-day NIA custody. Ali allegedly helped Umar purchase the I-20 car, registered in his name, which became the vehicle for the deadly blast.
मैंने पर्सनली एक्यूज से बात की थी. मुझे एक भी शिकन उसके चेहरे पर नजर नहीं आई. मुझे बिल्कुल भी ऐसा नहीं लगा कि कोई भी अफसोस कहीं से भी उसको है. तो ये बहुत शायद पक्की
कोई किसी तरह की रिग्रेट कोई भी नहीं है.
आई फाइंड ऑन हिज फेस. मैंने उससे पूछा कि वो गाड़ी के आपके नाम पे रजिस्टर थी. ये सर यस, वो गाड़ी मेरे नाम पे रजिस्टर थी.
The Delhi blast, now confirmed as a suicide attack, was reportedly codenamed D6. Sources claim it may have been a double-layered terror plan. Plan A was serial blasts across cities on December 6th, the Babri demolition anniversary, aimed at nationwide chaos. Plan B was a high-impact suicide blast in Delhi 6, which was executed when Plan A failed. Investigators believe Umar may have been a shoe bomber, as a metal plate with triacetone triperoxide or TATP was found in his shoe. TATP, a highly unstable compound known as Mother of Satan, is capable of detonating on impact or heat. This underscores the desperate and dangerous improvisation behind the blast. It is pertinent to note that the initial inquiry in the Srinagar blast states that it was possibly triggered by a liquid explosive mixture of hydrogen peroxide and acetophenone during sampling process. With Dr. Shaheen Shahid and Dr. Umar Nabi allegedly at the heart of this conspiracy, probe agencies continue to unravel a chilling terror web, a plot that could have engulfed the nation in terror. With Shreya Chatterjee and Arvind Ojha in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah says, "Patal se dhoond kar nikalenge." But the bigger question is right now, how many of them are there hiding in the netherworld? कितने ऐसे छिपे हैं पाताल में who are plotting to bleed us, plotting to kill us? How big is this module? I want to bring in India Today's Sandeep Punithan for more on this. Also joining me is Ambassador Veena Sikri, former High Commissioner to Bangladesh. Remember, there's a threat that emerges from that border. Professor Brahma Chilani, one of India's best-known strategic voices, joins us on the show. General Vinod Bhatia is former Director General of Military Operations, with me on this story. In a while from now, we'll also talk about what's happening in Bangladesh. But for the moment, Sandeep, कितने छिपे हैं पाताल में? Arrests virtually every other day and a new layer being added. Now there were also plans of a drone strike. It's almost like a Hamas kind of an attack that took place on Israel on the 7th of October.
Well, absolutely, Gaurav. And that seizure on the 10th of November cannot be understated. I mean, the security forces have busted what is one of the largest such conspiracies to inflict mass murder on India. It is a terror plot that we've not seen the contours of at least since 26/11. because after 26/11, Gaurav, as you know, all the attacks were all one-off. They were single incidents. Nothing of this magnitude has ever been faced by the Indian security apparatus for more than a decade, almost close to 2 decades, in fact, after 26/11. This is November 2025, 17 years after 26/11. We have not seen a terror plot of this magnitude. What is being uncovered here on a daily basis over the last 7 days is absolutely horrifying, whether it is the manufacturing of VBIEDs, vehicle-borne improvised explosive devices, suicide bombers, and now the new elements that have been added on, which is drones to inflict terror on India's cities. The details of this are absolutely shocking, but it is only to be expected, Gaurav, given the kind of speeches that we've been seeing in Pakistan over the last couple of months, especially before Operation Sindoor, Field Marshal Asim Munir's speeches only point to the path that he seems to be following General Parvez Musharraf's footsteps.
Asim Munir may be the trigger. Asim Munir may be the trigger. Ambassador Sikri, the plan was in the works from much earlier. It's not as if Asim Munir made the speech and these chaps became radicalized. These guys have been living amongst us for much longer, plotting to bleed us, and that may have just been a trigger point. And the threat is not just from the Pakistani side, now also from the Bangladeshi side, with those radical Islamists going there to radicalize the society even more, and then perhaps push in from there.
No, absolutely. I think there's no doubt that this was an ISIL-led plot, and now there are linkages to Turkey which are coming up very clearly, showing that they are part and parcel of Pakistan's plans to radicalize Bangladesh as well, and through that come into India. Asim Munir has spoken about a strike from the east, but we also know there has been a lot of talk in the last few days that maybe 3,000 kilograms of these explosives have been unearthed, but there could be an equal amount still in hiding, and which is coming in from the eastern border, from Bangladesh in smaller quantities, and then being kept in various places. We also know that the leaders of Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba are openly saying that they're sending their teams to Bangladesh, and they're working with Bangladesh for the radicalization of that society, and also for walking into India from there. So I think the events in Bangladesh are certainly pointing in every which way that Pakistan is trying to embed themselves into Bangladesh society, in the army, in the on the question of radicalization, on the question of doing projects in places like Lal Munir Haat, and they're absolutely clear that they want a situation that existed prior to 1971. This is what is
very, very worrisome. And what makes it even more worrisome, Professor Chilani? So you have radical Islamist terrorists from Pakistan, radical Islamist terrorists from Bangladesh, and the enemy within, highly educated doctors, engineers, drone operators, and others living amongst us with assistance from outside or without. What were our intelligence agencies doing? How were they acquiring 2,900 kilograms of ammonium nitrate? But these guys were operating under the radar amongst us, sir. How worrisome is that for you?
Gaurav, you underscore the grim security realities that India confronts. In fact, the scale of what these people were planning to do is chilling, not only in terms of the series of coordinated blasts that they were intending to conduct, but also the sophistication of the techniques they were going to employ, including using air means to carry out terror attacks. And I think all this points to one basic fact, that India has long been a beacon of stability and economic progress in a region increasingly engulfed in turmoil. Obviously, these people behind this scheme wanted to undermine India's image as a stable, prospering nation. But on whose behalf were they seeking to do this? Undermine India's image. Obviously, there was a bigger plot, a bigger plan. And it's very necessary not just to identify all the individuals of this terror unit, but also those who sponsored them. It's very, very important In addition, I think there are three things that stand out about our internal security. One is that the need, first and foremost, to dismantle the entire ecosystem of terrorism, including the facilitators, recruiters, and ideologues. And this demands three things. One, stringent implementation of laws like the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, UPA.
Yes.
Also, we need to track financial and communication linkages. This means intensifying monitoring of digital communication platforms and financial transactions, including Hawala networks.
Yes.
Because without funding, this kind of a terror unit cannot function effectively. And also, it's necessary to retrain our agencies, including NIA and state-level anti-terrorism squads, the ATS, because they need specialized training to identify and infiltrate networks operating under a professional disguise.
Oh, absolutely.
These guys were operating freely in the NCR because they were using their professional credentials as doctors and other professionals. So we need to really refocus some of our counterterrorism strategies.
Perhaps use a lot more of artificial intelligence, bringing a lot more operatives. It may cost money, but it's still cheaper when it comes to saving lives at any cost. And General Bhatia, look at the level of sophistication from a VBIED, of course, a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device India has dealt with for decades. But drones being used not just to smuggle in weapons from across the Punjab border, but in this case, to launch strikes. That was being planned. And third, the shoe bomber. That is something that was also being planned. So that naturally, these are highly educated doctors with very devious minds. So how do you infiltrate into an organization like this? Because from within the community, it's very clear, not many people came out to volunteer information about these people.
Yes, Gaurav, you're absolutely right. We have to not only counter terrorism, present relevant, but future ready also. And the terrorists have more chance of success in a technology-enabled environment where the white-collar terrorists are there now. They're well-educated, they're well-qualified, they know technology, they know how to exploit technology, and they're fully radicalized. And they have the support of Pakistan and they have the support of Bangladesh. And we have to look at Pakistan-Bangladesh axis for terrorism. And that is where counter-terrorism forces, intelligence services have done a great job. Let me tell you that. Despite November 10th, I think we have avoided major serial blasts all over the country, which could have destabilized a lot of things and given a boost to terrorism in India, which has not happened now. And the way that intelligence has gone around and got hold of the terrorists who are white-collar terrorists spread all over the country, almost, especially Delhi, Jammu and Kashmir, Haryana and other places, Lucknow. So we got to understand that we have to be future ready and we got to exploit technology for that. We got to be one step ahead of the terrorists. And that is where I think we are doing a reasonably good job. Let's not, crucify our intelligence services. I see a lot of people talking about it, that we have failed in intelligence. I don't think we have failed. India's counter-terrorism strategy and tactics have succeeded mostly in every place, including J&K. If you look at the figures, despite the 10-11, I think we have limited terrorism in Jammu and Kashmir, especially after the 5th of August 2019. The figures show for themselves. I don't have to get the
what
figures.
I'm also very worried about, Sandeep, and I want you to weigh in on this before I move to our other story, which is Bangladesh. Sandeep, what is very worrisome, the Batla House encounter was an operation to destroy the Indian Mujahideen module that was operating in Delhi, but had carried out a series of terror attacks, places terror attack, Sarojini Nagar blast, Connaught Place blast, Karol Bagh blast. And the moment that Batla House encounter took place, in which we lost brave Inspector Mohan Chand Sharma, I had covered that case. There were too many people who said, oh my God, you've killed innocent people. Oh my God, you've killed innocent people. But after that, there was no terror attack because that module had been busted. This time, fortunately, at least for now, that enabling ecosystem for terror is relatively muted. But that enabling ecosystem must also be pursued and probed. Out of what reason are they supporting terror in our country in the name of free speech or other activities, Sandeep?
Absolutely, Gaurav. And in the past, we made this distinction between the terrorist modules and the overground workers. And this overground workers concept, OGWs, as we used to call them, it was given some kind of a harmless connotation that, oh, these are harmless above ground activists. But as we've seen in this case, Gaurav, in this thing, this story which began in late October with the pasting of posters supporting the Jaish-e-Mohammed, all of this began as overground activity, which led to the underground. So this is very clearly a very groundbreaking case in which overground activities led to the uncovering of a terror module. So therefore, we cannot anymore take the OGW networks lightly, because now, as we've seen, the deep state across the border has activated all its proxies, all its modules, all its overground workers, networks, to destabilize India. And this is the kind of threat that we are faced with, and we cannot take any of this lying down, Gaurav, because we really don't know how many of these modules are out there, how many of these other OGW networks.
And those who try to give it enabling cover fire, Professor Chilani, last 30 seconds on this part of the show before I switch over to Bangladesh, that those who say do not target a particular religion. Nobody is targeting a particular religion. Don't target people only of a particular religion. Nobody is either targeting people of a particular religion or region. Is this, in your appreciation, sir, a systematic, spearheaded, systematic attack to target only the perpetrators of terror with evidence that is being put through scrutiny in a court of law? So those who are already crying foul perhaps need to show a little patience, or is there merit that this is targeting people of a particular region and religion, sir?
Gaurav, what has happened will shake up anybody. Here, in this case, healers turned into agents of death. This has never happened anywhere in the world, that a group of doctors acting on their own, running and leading a terror module which was planning a series of major coordinated attacks. So given what has been uncovered, and given how deadly the Red Fort car blast was, it's become very important, in fact imperative, for the Home Ministry now to go after all the elements involved, not just in this terror network, but also their sympathizers, their sponsors, and their cross-border backers and funders. All have to be identified, and those that can be detained, they need to be detained. We have to be very focused in our counter-terrorism efforts.
It has to be transparent, it has to be evidence-based prosecution, and nobody should cry persecution if there isn't. That is something we'll be tracking very closely, and I want to talk about this in greater detail, but perhaps in the days and weeks ahead.